There is a reason ancient mystics carved eyes into stone, wore them as talismans, and spoke in hushed tones about the eye that sees beyond seeing. They weren't speaking of physical vision, but of something far more profound, an inner eye, a silent watcher, a gateway to higher perception hidden in the very center of your brain. The third eye is not a metaphor, it is a key. But here's a question that few dare to ask. What if the world you see is not the full picture, but only a sliver of reality filtered through closed lids? What if right now something inside you is sleeping, and all the while it is the one part of you designed to truly see? Across ancient Egypt, India, Tibet, and even within the secret schools of the early Gnostics, the third eye has always been revered, not just as a symbol of awakening, but as a functional organ of inner perception, known in Sanskrit as the Ajna chakra, in Taoism as the upper dantian, and to modern science as the pineal gland. This mysterious center is thought to govern intuition, spiritual insight, and direct perception of subtle energy. Yet despite its enormous potential, most people go their entire lives without activating it. Not because they're incapable, but because no one ever showed them how. This video is not about theories or vague spiritual fluff. It is about practical techniques, first steps, that you can begin today to awaken this inner faculty. We will explore the origins of the third eye mystery, what ancient teachings say about it, and then guide you through precise, time-tested exercises to begin your own awakening. These are not fantasy. They are real methods drawn from esoteric schools, passed down in whispers, and proven over centuries. So, if you're ready to move beyond belief into direct experience, to shift from passive spiritual curiosity to active inner knowing, then you've just taken your first step. Are you ready to see what lies beyond the veil? Long before the word chakra became popular in modern yoga studios, and long before neuroscience mapped the regions of the human brain, ancient mystics were already mapping the inner realms of consciousness, not with machines, but through direct inner exploration. The third eye, often equated with the Ajna chakra or pineal gland, has held a central place in nearly every mystical tradition on earth. In India, it was called the Divya Drishti, the divine sight. In Egypt, it was symbolized by the Eye of Horus, a symbol not only of protection, but of perception that transcends ordinary vision. When dissected, the Eye of Horus even matches the anatomical structure of the pineal region in the human brain. Coincidence? Or ancient anatomical knowledge masked in myth? To the ancient yogis, the third eye wasn't just a symbol. It was a gateway to altered states of consciousness, a literal portal to the subtle realms. When awakened, it allowed the seer to perceive energy, sense truth beyond appearances, and receive direct guidance from the higher self. In Taoist internal alchemy, the third eye was part of the upper dantian, the seat of Shen, or spiritual consciousness. Practices like inner vision meditation were used to cultivate this center. In the West, Hermetic and Rosicrucian traditions spoke of the eye of the mind, or single eye, as a tool of divine insight, a way to pierce through illusion, Maya, and into the underlying reality. The Bible itself contains cryptic references. "If thine eye be single," says the Gospel of Matthew, "thy whole body shall be full of light." Many esoteric interpreters believe this passage refers to the third eye, the single eye that allows one to perceive the light of divine truth. And then there is the pineal gland. Nestled deep within the brain, this tiny pine cone-shaped gland has long puzzled scientists. It produces melatonin, governs sleep cycles, but also contains photoreceptive cells, the same kind found in the eyes. In reptiles, it's part of a functioning third eye on top of the head. Descartes famously called it the seat of the soul. Why? because he believed it was the interface between body and spirit. Why would nature place a light-sensitive organ in the very center of the brain? Why do so many spiritual cultures align their teachings around this exact spot? The answer, perhaps, lies not in what the eye sees, but in what it reveals. The activation of the third eye was never meant to be a parlor trick, nor a shortcut to spiritual power. It was a sacred rite of passage, a turning point where the initiate begins to perceive energy, meaning, and truth without relying on the five senses alone. But this awakening comes with responsibility. Once you see through illusion, you can never unsee it. So ask yourself, not just whether you want to open your third eye, but whether you're prepared for what you might find when you do. Because the veil was placed for a reason, and lifting it is no small act. Next, we will begin to decode how the third eye functions within the human system and what blocks it from awakening. To begin understanding the third eye, we must first move beyond the idea that it is simply a part of the body. Yes, it has a physical correlate, the pineal gland, but the third eye is more than biology. It is a convergence point, a crossroads between the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. Imagine your consciousness as a three-layered sphere. The outermost layer is your sensory awareness, what you see, hear, touch. This is the physical world, the domain of waking life. The middle layer is your thoughts and emotions, the mental world. Here live your stories, memories, hopes, fears. But deep within that, there is a core, a silent witness. It does not judge, it does not analyze, it simply observes. This is the part of you that watches your thoughts come and go. It is here, in this still center, that the third eye begins to open. The third eye functions as a lens, not to enhance what is outside, but to reveal what is hidden within. When it is closed, reality feels flat, ordinary, bound by cause and effect. But when it begins to stir, the world sharpens, patterns emerge, coincidences start to feel like messages. People's emotions become easier to sense. Truth becomes easier to recognize, not because someone told you, but because you feel it in your bones. So what keeps the third eye asleep? Three things, primarily: inactivity, distortion, and fear. Inactivity. Like any muscle, the third eye atrophies if unused. We are trained to rely on logic, analysis, and the five senses. Intuition is dismissed, imagination is downgraded. Slowly, we lose touch with our inner vision, not because it's gone, but because we've stopped turning toward it. Distortion. Our inner lens becomes fogged with emotional residue, stress, trauma, constant stimulation. Think of a radio trying to pick up a signal through static. Meditation, purification, and breathwork help clean the lens. But without them, the signal remains weak. Fear. This is perhaps the deepest blockage. Many people unconsciously fear seeing reality as it truly is. They fear their own power, or the truths that may surface. Ancient mystery schools often tested initiates to ensure they were ready to receive what the third eye would reveal. Because once you start to see, the old games no longer work. And here's something important. The third eye does not only see energy, it also translates. It decodes symbols, feelings, impressions from higher planes into forms your mind can understand. You might receive visions, inner voices, archetypal dreams, not hallucinations, but messages wrapped in metaphor. Think of it like this. You are not simply a body with a brain. You are a transmitter, and the third eye is the tuning dial. Most people never touch the dial. They stay on the one static channel society told them to tune into. But hidden all around them, layered over the physical world, are currents of meaning, guidance, and energy waiting to be accessed. The third eye tunes you in to that deeper frequency.
This is why ancient initiates were not merely taught spiritual ideas, they were trained to see differently. You don't need to believe. You don't need to imagine. You need to perceive. And that, precisely, is what we'll begin training in the next section. We'll look deeper into the mechanics of inner perception, the subtle energies involved, and how consciousness shifts as the third eye gradually opens.
Now that we understand what the third eye is and why it remains dormant for most people, we can go deeper into the subtler mechanics of how it works and what begins to happen as it opens. First, let's talk about perception beyond the physical. When you use your physical eyes, light hits your retina, information is processed by your brain, and an image is formed. Simple. But when your third eye activates, perception no longer relies on external light. Instead, it draws in subtle information from the etheric, astral, and causal planes and presents it through inner images, feelings, or direct knowing. You may not see in the visual sense. You may feel a space, sense a presence, or receive a download of understanding that bypasses language entirely. This is what mystics call clairvoyance, not as a supernatural power, but as a natural perception sharpened through inner alignment. The third eye is not a camera. It is a translator. It converts non-physical energy into symbolic insight. That's why visions can be archetypal or even strange at first. Your subconscious is trying to give form to something that cannot be grasped with ordinary thought. You may see a lion, a spiral, a temple, or an eye in your meditations. These are not hallucinations. They are metaphors drawn from your own psyche, carrying frequencies from higher realms. The more refined your inner state, the more accurate the translation becomes. This leads us to a crucial teaching from the mystery schools. Clarity in the third eye depends on purity in the heart. Why? Because perception is colored by the perceiver. If your mind is clouded with judgment, fear, or egoic desire, your third eye will show you distorted reflections. You won't see reality. You'll see your fears, your cravings, your projections dressed in mystical clothing. That's why so many traditions emphasize inner purification before deep activation practices. Yogic ethics, yamas and niyamas, fasting, silence, and devotional practices were not arbitrary. They were all designed to cleanse the lens, to make the seer worthy of sight. It's not just about opening the eye, it's about learning to see with truth. Now, let's explore the subtle energies involved. The third eye is linked to the Ajna chakra, positioned at the brow, between the eyebrows. It governs intuition, clarity, foresight, and psychic faculties. In the subtle body, it is fed by prana, or life force. The quality and direction of your prana greatly affect how the third eye functions. This is why breathwork, pranayama, is one of the oldest and most reliable tools for awakening this center. By guiding the breath, you direct prana upward through the central energy channel, the Sushumna Nadi, activating higher centers of perception. But breath is not enough. You must also bring awareness. Where attention goes, energy flows. Focused concentration at the brow center acts like a magnifying glass, drawing energy, light, and awareness into a single point. Over time, this repeated focus creates an energetic opening. A subtle portal begins to stir. At first, you may experience this as gentle pressure between the eyebrows, tingling or heat at the forehead, spontaneous inner imagery or colors during meditation, heightened intuition or déjà vu, strong emotional clarity or knowing without evidence. These are all signs that the veil is beginning to thin. But the most important shift isn't visual at all.
It's the shift from fragmentation to integration. The third eye allows you to see not just the outer world, but the inner connections between all things, the patterns of cause and effect, the emotional undercurrents behind words, the energetic resonance of truth. It helps you see energy, not just form. It teaches you to sense essence, not just surface. And perhaps most importantly, it helps you remember, not just facts, but the deeper knowledge you've always carried within you, waiting for the moment of reawakening. In the next section, we will move from knowledge to practice. You will learn the foundational techniques to begin stimulating, cleansing, and gently awakening your own third eye, without strain, without risk, and in full harmony with your spiritual evolution.
It is said that when the student is ready, the eye begins to open. But readiness is not a matter of belief. It is built through practice. Gentle, consistent, focused practice. You don't need complex rituals or exotic initiations to begin. You only need your breath, your awareness, and your willingness to turn inward. Let's begin with the first foundational technique. 1. The centering breath with brow focus. This simple but potent exercise builds the subtle muscle of inner awareness. Sit in a quiet space with your spine upright. Close your eyes. Bring your attention gently to the space between your eyebrows. As you inhale, imagine a stream of cool silvery light entering through your third eye and flowing into your brain. As you exhale, imagine this light dissolving tension, thought noise, or emotional residue. Continue for 7 to 10 minutes. This practice is not about forcing a sensation. It is about stilling the waters of your mind so that a deeper current can rise to the surface. Repeat this daily, preferably at dawn or just before sleep, when the mind is most receptive. 2. Tritaka, candle gazing. This ancient yogic practice trains the inner eye by disciplining the outer eyes. Light a candle and place it at eye level, about an arm's length away. Gaze at the flame without blinking for as long as comfortable. When your eyes water or tire, close them and visualize the flame at your brow center. Hold that inner image for as long as possible. Repeat for 5 to 10 minutes. Tritaka improves concentration, cleanses emotional debris, and prepares the mind for deeper intuitive perception. Mantra for ajna activation. Sound is vibration, and vibration affects energy centers. Chanting the mantra OMM or OAUM while focusing on the third eye helps to tune the frequency of your inner field. Sit comfortably, take 3 deep breaths. On the exhale, chant Om, allowing the sound to resonate from your chest up into your forehead. Visualize gentle waves of violet or indigo light pulsing at your brow. Do this for 5 to 7 rounds, then sit in silence and observe any sensations or impressions. Sound plus awareness equals activation. Lifestyle support for activation. The third eye is sensitive. It thrives in clarity and weakens in chaos. Support your practice by making small but intentional shifts. Reduce fluoride and artificial chemicals. Many believe these calcify the pineal gland. Use spring water if possible. Prioritize sleep and natural light exposure. The pineal gland governs circadian rhythms. Minimize mental clutter. News overload, toxic media, and emotional reactivity all cloud the inner lens. Keep a dream journal. The third eye often speaks in dreams before it speaks in waking life. Overcoming common challenges. If you feel nothing is happening, know this. Subtle perception builds slowly, like dawn, not with fireworks, but with deepening presence. Be patient. Trust the process. Some people experience vivid imagery or sensations early on. Others take weeks. There is no correct timeline. You are not making anything happen. You are removing what blocks it from happening. What matters is consistency, openness, and reverence. Because you're not just trying to open a center. You are reawakening a forgotten sense, one that was always part of you, simply waiting for you to remember. In the final section, we'll bring everything together and leave you with a powerful closing thought to carry on your path.
You began this journey with a question, spoken or unspoken. Is there more to life than what I see? Now perhaps you are beginning to sense the answer. The third eye is not about gaining magical powers or escaping the world. It's about learning to see the world as it truly is. It's about reclaiming a part of yourself that has been asleep, not dead, not broken, but waiting. Waiting for your attention. Waiting for your silence. Waiting for your devotion to truth. The techniques we've shared are not the end, they are the beginning. The first steps on a path walked by sages, mystics, healers, and seekers for thousands of years. A path that leads not outward, but inward. And as you continue, you may begin to notice subtle shifts, moments of clarity that seem to come from nowhere, a heightened awareness of the energy in a room, symbols appearing in dreams with unusual vividness, a gentle, persistent sense that something is awakening. These are not accidents, these are signals. And once they start, they rarely stop. But remember this, the third eye is not opened through force. It opens through purity, practice, and presence. It responds to sincerity, not impatience. So as you move forward, let this be your mantra. I am willing to see. Not just the surface, not just what's comfortable, but the deeper truth within yourself, within others, within life itself. The veil is thin. The eye is watching. The path is already unfolding beneath your feet. You don't need to be perfect. You only need to be present. So breathe, focus, listen, and begin again. Every day another step. Every breath another opening. Every silence another invitation to see. And when you're ready, you won't just see the world. You'll see through it. If this video has stirred something within you, share your experience in the comments. Let us know what you felt, what you saw, or even what questions remain. And above all, keep practicing. The eye awaits.